Hi, everyone. I'm Marte Siebenhar. I am the business healer, and I'm here coming live to you to talk about what the long range benefits of business healing are, or the benefits of regular business healing. Over time, it really, really makes a difference. I work with clients who are carrying retained experiences from work, from things that have happened in their career in their bodies. And they may or may not be aware of it. They may or may not be experiencing outcomes long range that they're even conscious of. So, what we do is we work in the energy field that you, as an electromagnetic being, very naturally put out throughout the course of the day. And in that energy field around your body, a lot is perceptible if you know how to work with the energy field. So I don't want to get too abstract with this, but your chakras are something that is inside you, that they're your energy centers, and that is what I work with. Those create an energy field. And also our brains, by the way, work by sending electricity across space. So just because you can't see what is happening in your energy field doesn't mean that you're not putting out these impulses. So what happens is over time, the things that happen to you, they stay with you. So it's kind of like when you see those just married signs on cars that are dragging cans behind them. It's kind of like we do that, but we don't recognize that disappointments, fears, upsets, imposter syndrome, negative patterns of thinking, all of these things are actually tangible in our energy body. And if we're not aware of it, we might not be looking to heal those things. But I want to get right into it. So, work related healing is not something that most people are even aware is available to them. And it is. And very few people, again, are talking about energy and work at the same time. I'm on a mission to normalize the conversation about energy and work together because they really impact one another. If you were given some bad feedback in an office, you feel differently about entering that office. Am I right? I've talked to you all. I know what's happening. I know what I've experienced. I know what all of you have experienced. So all of these things stay with us kind of on an energy level. I would even say probably on a cellular level. And some of these things came with us from our parents and their parents and their parents. So all of this is available for us to release and be healed from. And again, healing doesn't have to feel like a complete and utter miracle. Healing means letting go. And a lot of us have built up layers upon layers upon layers of disappointments, of fears, of these traumas, these microaggressions, things that have happened to us that we haven't fully processed. And if you haven't fully processed, especially feelings, they do stay with you. And that is, in the end, what starts to create dis-ease is these thoughts, these feelings that are unprocessed. They get stronger. They're not dealt with. They don't move through us. We're supposed to process those things so they can move through us. But instead, they stay with us and we take them in and we push them down and we take them in and we push them down. And over time, that creates illness. So, business healing is looking specifically at the individual, the leader, and what has happened to them at work. Sometimes because we're the same human beings, we don't check our identity at the door. Well, maybe we have to, and that's the cause for another reason we might need business healing. We are carrying those things around with us. So you don't show up at work as a totally different person than you are at home, which means that what's happening at home, what's happening at work, especially if you are a business owner, all of it starts to kind of melt together. So today I wanted to chat just a little bit about what are the long range benefits, or what are the benefits of regular healing in this way. And again, I work with people, I work with individuals, I work with teams on patterns and behaviors and collective outcomes that have resulted from decisions in that company, in that business, in that individual, in that team. So it can be extremely therapeutic. And I've been doing this with myself as a business person for years. And I really take it as a privilege and an honor. So a couple things that have happened with my clients over time is, number one, greater abundance and prosperity. When we can start to see the negative thinking or the generational wounds that have kept us from stepping into greater abundance, believing in ourselves, believing that we can we have something worthy for people to buy or people to be part of or for people to join or donate to. Some of my clients are nonprofits. So budget and revenue growth. Some of my clients have doubled their budgets in a year or two after some concerted healing. So I take that very seriously. And when we can start to step into our power in all the ways, and business healing helps do that, we can start to attract different results in our lives. So another thing, greater clarity on pathway forward. So money is powerful because we can measure it, but I've had a lot of clients tell me that they realize what they actually are here to do and they have a clear pathway forward. They have a clear mind about what they want to do and how that can show up for them. And the courage to go after it is also something that we work on. So if you've been in a job and you really haven't been satisfied for a long time, because listen, we should all be joyful and happy and fruitful and abundant and satisfied in our work and in our lives. I do not believe those things are mutually exclusive. I believe those things fuel and help one another. And when we are big in all aspects of our lives, that shows up with big results. So some of us, me included, myself included, have blind spots or areas that we want to work on where we feel things are a little bit stuck or where we're in a pattern. So we work on removing those patterns, deleting and erasing the patterns, rewiring your brain. I don't mean that I'm doing anything in your brain. I just mean your brain is something, it's got something called neuroplasticity. So part of what we work with is mindset. And then we also work the energy of the thoughts and feelings and behaviors that you have been living that match old ways that you don't want to live. And we start to remove them and release them so that you are more successful with the new pathways that you're creating for your thoughts and feelings. But greater clarity on pathway forward can be very, very, very powerful. It can feel like a weight is lifted. Another thing is awareness in the body of how patterns of thinking show up. So this is super powerful because we're not really aware necessarily when these patterns are happening that we're holding tension in our throat or something that happened to us when we were a child and we were told to be quiet and step aside. All of that, when you start to open up the throat energy, can be incredibly powerful. But if you're not even aware that you have a blockage in your throat, in your energy, you're going to only notice it once it is gone and you feel differently. I was healing a client yesterday, and as we moved up the energy body up the chakras, she's like, "Oh, I feel it here now." I was like, "Well, you're probably feeling it because I just cleared this block that was here, and now you're feeling it here." So, and we work with all of it and we release all of it. Also, your energy changes minute to minute. You are a dynamic being. So it doesn't mean that you are fixed, right? So your energy is resetting and refreshing all the time. Your chakras are responding to what's happening around you. They get bigger, they get smaller, they can get congested, they get depleted. So we work with all of it. Also, greater sense of peace with themselves and their work. Really feel like they're in the pocket. They know who they are. They know what they're here to do. They have a sense of peace. Increased self-confidence is another thing. Like I see where I was in a room with somebody and my instinct had been in the past to kind of jump in and save people, but I held my ground and I saw what was mine and what was theirs. This is very powerful and this can happen after a short time of energy healing, the business healing that we do. But it's very powerful when you start to notice you are taking up your own space. And that is one of the effects of the healings that we do. One other thing is more harmonious relationships. So that can be at home, that can be at work, your partner, your board of directors, your peers, your bosses, and other leaders, and then the other relationships that you have in your life. When you are free from the clutter that you've been carrying around, these unprocessed traumas, the unprocessed thoughts and feelings, you show up with a different energy because you're not being cluttered. It's kind of like if you're drinking, I don't know if you've done watercolor painting, but after a while, watercolor painting, the water that you dip into gets muddy. So if you're walking around as like a full of mud kind of person because just you're reacting to the things that happen around you, the things over time, once we clear the channel, you feel differently, right? So if you are suddenly a glass of fresh water that is totally pure and clear, you just notice things that you hadn't noticed before. And one of those things is when you are who you really are, you show up differently everywhere you go. And that is noticeable, and it can have a huge impact on relationships in your life. Decreased tendencies to repeat self destructive patterns like self sabotage and overwork. Overwork is one of the things I've been working on myself lately. And it starts with awareness, but really working on an energetic level helps to amplify what you know to be true and what you want to change and fix. Energy moves things so much more quickly. So, yeah, self destructive patterns. Listen, I've been there. Self sabotage, overwork. When we work on the energetic level, we are working with additional tools. I think all of the tools that are available are great. Energy is just something that like fine tunes and sharpens things and can happen really, really fast. Letting go of the past, that is a really powerful outcome of long range healing, of regular healing. I don't mean long range like this is a years long thing. It could be if you felt like it. And again, many of us are carrying around years and years and years of this stuff. So even a little bit of release can be extremely helpful and revibrant yourself. It's not a word, but your internal vitality increases over time. But letting go of the past is a really powerful thing. And if that is something that you feel like should be available to you, it is. And one of the clients that I had recently said, we just did a guided meditation. I did some healing during that meditation. And that person said to me, oh my gosh, I see that this thing is not mine. I'm going to let it go now. Like that is powerful to be released. Another thing is generational attitudes, shifts in these generational attitudes and patterns. Like if your dad was bad with money and his dad was bad with money and his dad was bad with money, and maybe you have been told you're bad with money, these are things that get passed down. And, they say that every generation selects for the best outcomes. I mean, some of these things help us survive, right? But they aren't necessarily things that we want to keep passing down. So generational healing that is part of this can be a really powerful interrupter to those situations of a generational wound, something that and more harmonious family relationships. I'll do a whole series probably on generational healing and how powerful it is. But when we can break and interrupt these patterns that are come through our DNA and are also retained in our energy bodies, and when you can start to work on the generational energetic stuff, it's so powerful. I've been doing this recently with some patterns in my own family around, anger and criticism. This is something that, I learned as a way to respond and react to the world around me. So I've been using energy to help heal that in myself. And I've gotten really far. These again are complicated, long things that I've been carrying for most of my life. So it's not immediately gone, but oh my gosh, it must be 80% different from when I started a couple of months ago. Just light self-healing. So these are benefits of regular business healing. And again, it's business healing, it's personal healing, it's team healing, it's individual healing. I haven't even gotten to talking about what it's like to heal an actual business, because I believe businesses have consciousness and their own energy. I'll be talking about that next month. So stay tuned. But it's very powerful when we are able to work again with a tool that works with the invisible stuff that we are carrying around that we are not necessarily aware of, but which really shape what we believe is possible and therefore the outcomes that we're able to get. So if you have any questions about business healing, about benefits of regular healing, do let me know. I'm on a mission to normalize the discussion about energy and work and how those two things intersect, interact, and create the outcomes that we're living. That's it for now. I will see you next time. Thank you.